The sun set over the vast desert of Earth, casting long shadows on the sand dunes. This place, mostly quiet and empty, was home to a few hardy souls who made a living under the bright sun. They often marveled at the stars that filled the night sky, but tonight something felt different. As darkness enveloped the desert, strange lights appeared high above. At first, the lights looked like bright stars, but they moved in ways that stars shouldn't. They danced and swirled, growing larger and larger until their true form became clear, massive, dark ships descending from the sky. Panic spread quickly among the desert dwellers as they pointed to the sky, their faces filled with fear. In a small military base not far from the desert, soldiers were finishing their evening routines. They were not prepared for what was about to happen. A young soldier named Jake sat at a table, joking with his friends. Suddenly, the loud alarm rang out, piercing the calm of the night. "Attention! Unidentified objects entering Earth's atmosphere!" the voice on the intercom shouted. The soldiers froze, their laughter dying away. Jake's heart raced as he grabbed his gear, knowing this was not a drill. Back in the desert, the alien ships landed with a thunderous boom. Dust flew into the air as the ground shook beneath them. Doors on the ships opened, revealing tall, green-skinned aliens with glowing eyes. They looked fierce, armed with strange weapons that hummed and crackled with energy. The aliens stepped out, scanning the area with their piercing gazes. They were led by a commanding figure named Zorak, who seemed to relish the sight of their new territory. "This desert will be our stronghold," Zorak declared, his voice echoing. "We will take what we need from this planet." Unbeknownst to them, a group of local residents watched from a distance, terrified but curious. They had never seen anything like this before. Among them was Mia, a brave young woman. "We have to warn the military," she whispered to her friends, her voice shaking with fear and determination. Meanwhile, at the military base, Jake and his fellow soldiers were preparing for action. The commanding officer, Colonel Harris, gathered everyone in the main hall. "Listen up! We have reports of an alien invasion targeting the desert. This is not a drill!" The soldiers exchanged worried glances. They had trained for many scenarios, but an alien attack was something they never expected. Jake felt a mix of fear and excitement. "We can't let them take our home," he thought. He looked around at his friends, knowing they would have to fight together. "Get ready! We move out in 10 minutes!" Colonel Harris shouted. Jake tightened his grip on his weapon, his mind racing with thoughts of his family and the life he wanted to protect. As the military vehicles rolled out toward the desert, the aliens began their attack. Zorak gave the order to fire, and beams of light shot out from their weapons, striking the sand and creating explosions. The desert, once a peaceful place, erupted in chaos. The soldiers arrived just in time to see the devastation. "What do we do?" one soldier yelled, his voice filled with panic. Colonel Harris took a deep breath and shouted back, "We fight! For our home!" Jake felt a surge of courage. "We can't let them destroy everything!" he shouted, rallying his fellow soldiers. They moved quickly, finding cover and preparing to counterattack. The young soldier knew that the aliens had underestimated them. They thought they could take the desert without a fight, but they were wrong. Jake and his friends were ready to defend their land, no matter the cost. As the battle began, dust and smoke filled the air. Jake's heart raced as he took aim, determined to protect the place he loved. The fate of the desert hung in the balance, and he knew that this was just the beginning. Little did they know, the aliens were not just after resources. They were looking to claim Earth for themselves. As night fell, the desert would become a battleground, and the fight for survival would ignite a fire in the hearts of those who called it home. The desert was now a scene of chaos and destruction. As the sun rose, its rays illuminated the damage caused by the alien ships. Smoke curled into the sky, and the air was thick with tension. Jake and his fellow soldiers prepared for their first real fight against the alien invaders. In the command center, Colonel Harris reviewed the situation with urgency. "We have to act fast," he said, pointing at a map spread across the table. "The aliens are heavily armed and seem to be focused on taking control of this area. We need to stop them before they cause more damage." Jake listened closely, his heart pounding in his chest. The weight of responsibility pressed down on him, but he felt a fire igniting inside. He glanced at his comrades, who were equally determined. "We can do this," he whispered to himself, ready to fight for their home. As the soldiers moved out, they noticed the desert floor was littered with debris from the alien ships. Strange metal fragments lay everywhere, and the smell of burnt sand hung in the air. Jake and his team took cover behind a rocky outcrop, scanning the horizon for signs of the enemy. Suddenly, a loud roar filled the air as the alien ships lifted off the ground. The soldiers watched in awe and fear as the ships hovered above, casting dark shadows over the desert. "They're regrouping," Jake said, his eyes wide. "We have to strike first." Without waiting for orders, Jake led a small group toward the nearest alien ship. They moved quietly, careful to stay hidden behind the rocks and dunes. The closer they got, the more they could see the aliens moving around, their strange weapons glowing ominously. "On my mark, we attack!" Jake whispered, gripping his weapon tightly. His heart raced with adrenaline as he prepared for what was about to come. He knew this was their chance to catch the aliens off guard. 3, 2, 1, go! Jake shouted, and they charged forward, yelling to intimidate the aliens. The element of surprise was on their side. The soldiers fired their weapons, aiming for the exposed parts of the alien ships. The first shots rang out, echoing in the still air. Jake's aim was true, and he hit one of the aliens square in the chest. It fell with a thud, and the other aliens turned, their eyes wide with shock. Panic spread through their ranks as they realized they were under attack. The soldiers pressed on, determined to push back against the invaders. Explosions erupted around them as the aliens fired back, their energy weapons lighting up the desert. Jake ducked behind a rock, narrowly avoiding a blast that singed the air around him. "Keep moving!" he yelled to his team, urging them forward. They needed to stay agile and not let the aliens take control. The soldiers advanced with a newfound confidence, inspired by the success of their surprise attack. Just as they thought they were gaining the upper hand, the aliens regrouped and began to retaliate. A massive alien warrior stepped forward, brandishing a weapon that glowed bright red. It unleashed a wave of energy that struck the ground, sending a shockwave through the sand. "Take cover!" Jake shouted, diving behind a boulder as the blast hit. The desert floor shook and dust flew into the air. His heart raced as he looked around to see his friends regrouping, determination still shining in their eyes. "We can't let them push us back," Jake said, rallying his team. "We have the advantage. Let's hit them hard!" With a shared sense of purpose, they launched another attack. This time, they moved in coordinated strikes, working together to flank the aliens. Jake led the charge, his resolve growing stronger with every step. The battle raged on, and the sound of gunfire mixed with the alien roars filled the desert. Jake felt a mix of fear and excitement as they fought for their home. They had faced the unknown and were standing their ground against a powerful enemy. As the sun reached its peak, illuminating the battlefield, it became clear that this fight was far from over. The soldiers pushed forward, fueled by hope and courage. They were fighting not just for survival, but for the future of their world. In the heart of the desert, the clash between humans and aliens continued, with both sides determined to claim victory. But Jake and his team knew one thing for sure. They would not go down without a fight. The battle in the desert raged on, but the humans were running low on ammunition. Jake felt the weight of despair creeping in as he ducked behind a rock, trying to catch his breath. The aliens were relentless, their advanced technology pushing the soldiers to their limits. With every passing minute, it became harder to believe they could win. "Jake!" Mia shouted, waving him over from her position behind a nearby boulder. "I think I found something. Come quick!" Curiosity sparked in Jake's heart. He looked around cautiously before sprinting to her side. "What is it?" he asked, breathless. She pointed toward a small cave hidden behind a pile of rocks. "I saw movement in there. It could be a hiding place or something more." Jake squinted into the darkness of the cave. "Let's check it out," he said, trying to sound confident. With Mia close behind, they entered the cave, leaving the chaos of battle behind for a moment. Inside, the cave walls were lined with strange symbols that glowed faintly in the dark. "What is this place?" Mia wondered, running her fingers over the carvings. Jake stepped deeper into the cave, his heart racing with anticipation. As they ventured further in, they stumbled upon a massive door made of a shiny metallic substance. It was adorned with more glowing symbols. Jake approached the door, his fingers brushing against the cool surface. "I think this is some sort of ancient technology," he said, excitement bubbling in his chest. "Maybe it can help us fight back." Mia nodded, looking at the door with awe. "But how do we open it?" Before they could think further, the sound of explosions echoed from outside, shaking the cave walls. We don't have much time, Jake urged, looking around for any way to activate the door. He noticed a small panel on the side, covered in the same glowing symbols. Maybe this is a control panel, he said, his mind racing. We need to figure out how to activate it. Jake pressed a few symbols randomly, hoping something would happen. The door began to hum and the symbols lit up brighter. Keep going! I think it's working, Mia encouraged him, her eyes wide with excitement. With one final press, the door slid open, revealing a vast chamber filled with enormous machines. They looked like ancient war machines, dormant but powerful. Jake felt a surge of hope as he took in the sight. These could be our secret weapon. They stepped inside the chamber, and as they moved closer, the machines began to respond. The symbols on their surfaces glowed even brighter, and a deep rumble filled the air. Jake and Mia exchanged glances, their hearts pounding with excitement. Can you believe this? Mia exclaimed. We might actually have a chance. Let's get the others, Jake said, realizing they needed to share this discovery. We can't fight this battle alone. They hurried back outside where the battle was still raging. The sight of their fellow soldiers fighting fiercely against the aliens filled Jake with urgency. He quickly found Colonel Harris, who was barking orders at the troops. Colonel! Jake shouted, catching the officer's attention. You need to see this! We found something in the cave, ancient machines that can help us. Colonel Harris raised an eyebrow, skepticism in his eyes. Are you sure? We can't afford to waste time. Trust me, sir. They're huge and powerful. We can turn the tide of this battle, Jake pleaded. The colonel hesitated, then nodded. All right, lead the way. But we need to be quick. As they raced back to the cave, Jake felt a surge of determination. They were no longer just defending their home. They were about to awaken something that would change everything. Once inside the chamber, Colonel Harris's eyes widened at the sight of the machines. What in the world? He muttered, stepping closer. Can they be activated? I think so, Jake said, excitement bubbling in his chest. We need to figure out how to operate them. With Mia's help, they began exploring the control panels, pressing the glowing symbols and trying to make sense of the ancient technology. Slowly but surely, the machines started to hum to life, their surfaces glowing with energy. The soldiers gathered around, watching in awe as the machines transformed, ready for battle. This is incredible, Mia exclaimed, her eyes shining with hope. Let's show those aliens what we're made of, Jake said, feeling a sense of unity with his team. They had discovered something powerful in their darkest hour. As the machines powered up, the soldiers prepared for the fight of their lives. With the awakening of these giants, they finally had a chance to turn the tide against the relentless alien invasion. The desert would become a battleground of not just survival, but of hope and resilience. The desert was now alive with energy. The giant machines, once dormant, hummed with power and readiness. Jake stood at the control panel, his heart racing with excitement and fear. This is it, he thought. We have a real chance to fight back. Colonel Harris rallied the soldiers around him. Listen up, everyone! We have these machines at our disposal. They are our best hope against the aliens. We need to work together to make this count. The soldiers nodded, their faces set with determination. Mia stood next to Jake, her eyes wide with anticipation. Do you think we can really control them? She asked, her voice trembling slightly. I believe we can, Jake replied, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. We just need to focus and trust each other. With that, they climbed into the cockpits of the machines, each soldier taking control of their assigned giant. The machines were massive, towering over the desert like ancient titans ready to awaken. As Jake powered his machine up, the controls responded smoothly, and he felt an electric rush of adrenaline. Let's move out! Colonel Harris shouted. The soldiers guided their machines out of the cave, stepping onto the battlefield. The sight was breathtaking. The colossal machines stood strong and ready against the backdrop of a smoky, war-torn desert. As they emerged, the aliens were taken aback. They had never seen such a sight before. Zorak, the alien commander, shouted orders to his troops. Do not let them intimidate you. Attack! The aliens charged forward, their ships zooming in, firing energy beams. But the humans were ready. Jake maneuvered his machine with precision, raising its arms to block the blasts. Fire back, he commanded, and the machine responded, launching a powerful energy blast toward the alien ships. The blast hit its target, and one of the ships exploded in a shower of sparks and metal. Cheers erupted from the soldiers. They could feel the tide of the battle beginning to shift. Mia piloted her machine alongside Jake, taking aim at another alien ship. "This is amazing!" she shouted, exhilaration in her voice. "We're really doing it! Just keep moving!" Jake replied, focused on the battle ahead. He could see the determination in the eyes of his comrades. They were no longer just defenders, they were warriors. As the battle intensified, the desert echoed with the sounds of explosions and the cries of soldiers. Jake and Mia worked seamlessly together, dodging enemy fire and returning blasts with their own. The once quiet desert was now a battlefield filled with chaos and courage. Suddenly, a massive alien warship descended, blocking the sun and casting a shadow over the battlefield. It opened fire with a barrage of energy beams targeting the humans. "Everyone, take cover!" Colonel Harris shouted, his voice rising above the noise. Jake quickly maneuvered his machine to the side, avoiding the deadly blasts. He glanced at Mia, who was already trying to get a bead on the giant ship. "We need to take that thing down!" Jake yelled, adrenaline coursing through him. With a nod, Mia positioned her machine beside Jake's. They aimed their weapons together, focusing on the weak points of the alien ship. On 3, Jake counted. 1, 2, 3, fire! The machines released a combined blast of energy, striking the warship directly. The explosion lit up the desert, and the ship began to tremble. "Yes. We got it!" Jake shouted, feeling a surge of victory. But Zorak was furious. "Retreat is not an option!" he screamed, rallying his forces. The aliens regrouped and charged at the humans with renewed aggression. The battle raged on, and the humans fought valiantly. With every alien ship they took down, their confidence grew. They had awakened something powerful within themselves and each other. They were no longer just soldiers, they were heroes. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the desert, it became clear that the tide had turned. The humans, led by their machines, were pushing the aliens back. Zorak, seeing his forces falter, realized he had underestimated the strength and unity of the Earth's defenders. Jake glanced at Mia, their eyes locking in determination. "We can do this! Let's finish what we started." With one final push, the humans launched a coordinated attack, overwhelming the remaining alien forces. The desert that had once felt so lonely now buzzed with energy and life. As the last alien ship fell, a cheer erupted from the soldiers. They had fought for their survival and emerged victorious. The desert, once a battleground, now stood as a testament to their courage and resilience. In that moment, Jake knew they had not just saved their home, they had awakened a spirit of unity that would forever change the course of their world. The battle had ended, and the desert lay quiet once more. The once chaotic landscape was now filled with the remnants of war, burned metal, shattered alien ships, and the echoes of the soldiers' cheers. Jake stood at the edge of the battlefield, taking in the sight of what they had accomplished. He felt a mix of exhaustion and pride. They had faced unimaginable odds and emerged victorious. Colonel Harris approached, his expression a mixture of relief and awe. "We did it, Jake," he said, clapping a hand on Jake's shoulder. "We actually did it." Jake smiled, still catching his breath. "I can't believe we turned the tide so quickly. Those machines made all the difference." "They did," the colonel agreed. "But it was your courage and teamwork that really won the day." Mia joined them, her eyes shining with excitement. "Did you see how we worked together? It felt like we were unstoppable." "We were," Jake said, his heart swelling with pride. "This is just the beginning. We've shown what we can do when we stand united." As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the desert, the soldiers gathered around to celebrate their hard-earned victory. They hugged each other and shared stories of their bravery. Laughter mixed with tears as they reflected on the friends they had lost and the battles they had fought. "Let's remember why we fought," Colonel Harris said, raising his voice to address the crowd. "We fought for our home, for each other, and for our future. This victory is just the first step toward a new beginning." Cheers erupted from the soldiers, their spirits lifting with hope and determination. Jake felt a sense of camaraderie he had never experienced before. They were more than just soldiers, they were a family. Days passed as the soldiers worked to clean up the battlefield and tend to the injured. The humans began to salvage parts from the alien technology, eager to learn from their enemies. Jake, Mia, and the others gathered around a pile of wreckage, examining the strange devices left behind. "What do you think this one does?" Mia asked, pointing to a small orb that pulsed with energy. "I don't know," Jake replied, intrigued. "But I bet we can figure it out. If we can understand their technology, we can prepare ourselves for anything in the future." With a sense of purpose, the group began to experiment with the alien devices. They worked day and night, sharing knowledge and ideas, their unity growing stronger. They quickly discovered that some of the technology was surprisingly compatible with their own. Meanwhile, the news of their victory spread across the world. People everywhere celebrated the bravery of the soldiers who had defended their home. Jake felt a surge of pride as he watched the coverage on television. They had not only saved their planet, they had inspired hope in others. As weeks turned into months, the soldiers transformed the remnants of the alien machines into new defenses. They created hybrid technology, blending human ingenuity with alien designs. The world was changing, and so were they. Jake, now a leader among his peers, began to train new recruits. He wanted to share what they had learned and prepare them for any future threats. "We need to be ready," he told them during training sessions. "The aliens may have retreated, but we can't let our guard down." Mia stood by his side, offering her knowledge and skills. Together, they created a program that combined combat training with technology education. The recruits were eager to learn, inspired by the stories of the battle and the bravery of their leaders. One day, as Jake looked out over the training grounds, he saw hope in the eyes of the new recruits. They were ready to protect their home, just as he and the others had done. It was a new beginning for humanity, a chance to grow stronger together. As he turned to head back to the training field, Jake felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had faced darkness and emerged victorious. Now they would build a future where they would never have to fight alone again. In the heart of the desert, the remnants of the battle remained, a reminder of their struggle. But now it also stood as a symbol of hope, a testament to the resilience of humanity. The world was changing, and with each passing day, they grew closer to a brighter tomorrow.